The things I bring to you. Go ahead.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
And the head of Christ is God. All right, go ahead.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head.
So if we was up here right now teaching, and I had a hat on, or Cuz had a do-rag on, we dishonor our head. What the Bible says is who? Christ. All right? I mean, we dishonor Christ. Go ahead.
For every woman that prayeth or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head.
And every woman that don't have her head covered, when she going through the scriptures or she praying or she's prophesying, she do what?
Dishonor her head.
As of what?
For that it is even all one as if she were shaven.
As if you had a bald head. It's like, yo, he's saying that's dishonorable. Anytime you in these scriptures, anytime you pick up this book, anytime you go to pray, he says it should be a covering over your head. Go ahead.
For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn.
Right.
But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered.
He says, look, if it's a shame for you to have a cover, if it's a shame for you to have a bald head, cover your hair. Cover your hair. We do that a lot. And I notice that anytime I talk to some people that grew up, or maybe that's still in the church to this day, you know what I mean? When I talk to them, only thing I said give me for this is, are you telling me I'm going to go to hell because I don't cover my head? Are you telling me that you're a follower of Christ and you don't do what the Bible says? What do non-followers of Christ do? What do people that don't follow the Bible? What happens to them? You can't pick and choose and decide what's big and what's too little. If he says cover your head, it's just that simple. Anytime your kid came to you when you was younger, if you had a child, and your child say, can I have this? And you say no. And they say, why? He said, because I said so. Because you know what's best for that child. And it's the same thing with this. The father's like, listen, do what I tell you to do. Cover your head. But man have come in and they have made everything sick. They have took the words of God and perverted them. Go back. Because let me tell you something. This is what a man God told me at church. He said, no, see, that covering means a pastor. Means a pastor. I said, okay. If that covering means a pastor, that means that you shouldn't be talking to me then, pastor. Because the Bible says no man should have a covering. So I shouldn't have a pastor. So we know it ain't talking about pastor. It ain't talking about having some covering over you or some eldership. It's talking about literally a veil. When you go into the scriptures, it says veil. It means to cover your hair. Go ahead.
For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven.
To be shaven, right? If it's a shame, do what?
Let her be covered.
Cover her. Go ahead.
For a man indeed ought not to cover his head.
Came back to it again. A man ought not to cover his head. And we know that's true in the church because they teach you what? When you come in, they tell the man what? Take off your hat, son. But the women can wear what? A hat in church. Reason behind it. Keep reading.
For as much as he is the image and glory of Ahiah, but the woman is the glory of man.
Okay.
For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man.
So man is not of the woman, but woman of the man. Go ahead.
Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man.
But the woman for the man. Go ahead.
For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels.
Because of the angels, because in Genesis, at the time, what happened was you had angels, the sons of God was coming down, and they were sleeping with the daughters of men. And there were giants in the land. A lot of times we hear the story about when the children of Israel was lost in the wilderness, and how they finally sent spies over to the land. They came back talking about there was giants in the land. There was giants. Well, these giants were the offspring of the angels and the women coming together. So the sons of God went into the daughters of men and they made giants. So because of this, the father made them cover their hair, because that's what they seduced the man with. The hair was so long that it went all to the ground. You know the story of the alabaster box, how she wiped Christ's feet with her hair. How long was her hair to be able to wipe his feet? You know what I mean? It was that long that she could take it and wipe his feet, but it was a covering that had to cover their hair because of it, because they used to seduce the man, and the angels used to fall in love with them, right?
For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord.
Okay, keep going.
For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman.
Man is by the woman, because the woman births a man. Go ahead.
But all things of a higher.
All things of God. Go ahead.
Judging yourselves. Is it comely that a woman pray unto a higher uncovered?
See, this is the first thing you should learn in church, because the first thing he just said here, he said, judging yourselves, is it comely that a woman even pray to the Father uncovered? That word comely means beautiful. So he's asking, is it even beautiful that you even go to the Father? How are you going to pray to the Father uncovered? Is that even beautiful? Is that even a pretty thing? That's not even beautiful. Right?
Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
Now, I have long hair. First thing people think when they see my hair is, oh, you need to cut your hair. But you got to go into it again and study. Because if it meant that, I believe me, I would have a bald hair right now. But he's talking about styles. He's talking about the way a man wears hair, how he styles his hair as a woman. Like Snoop Dogg and people like Cat Williams. How they wear these perms in their hair and they be going over one eye. You know what I mean? Looking like a woman, like a Lee used to, like he used to rock his hair like a Lee, like Snoop Dogg. Like why? He said doesn't nature itself, because you can send a little boy or a little girl up to Snoop Dogg with his hair like that, or Cat Williams with that bob, and they'll say, your hair look like a girl's. They'll know that right off bat. Nature itself teaches you that. Go ahead.
Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it should be a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her. For her hair is given her for a covering.
And this is the second part of the passage. And you try to jump in like, see, son, her hair is a cover. Like, so are you telling me that, like, Paul just contradicting himself in the beginning of Corinthians 11 all the way through? No, he was giving two different instances. When you pray and when you prophesy, cover your hair. And when you're going about your normal business, when you're going to the store, whatever you're doing, going to the movies, your hair don't have to be covered, man. But anytime you pray or you prophesy, your head should be covered. Anything else? Go to chapter 14. Skip over chapter 14 and go to verse 37. This whole thing is going down. All this right here is breaking down New Testament law, and this how you end up ending on this right here, because it goes through this and keeps speaking in tongues and everything. 14:37. What did I say?
1 Corinthians 14 and 37. If any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual.
Hold on. If any man, now he's saying, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, if you a prophet or spiritual, what?
Let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Lord.
They're the commandments of who?
Of the Lord.
Of TraMain.
Of the Lord.
Of Free.
Of the Lord.
Of T.
Of the Lord.
Of Shirley.
Of the Lord.
Of the Lord. They're the what of the Lord?
Of the commandments of the Lord.
That's law. It's the law of the Lord. Go ahead.
But if any man be ignorant.
But if any man be what?
Ignorant.
Ignorant. If they don't want to do what it says, what?
Let him be ignorant.
Let him be ignorant by himself. Go ahead.
Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy, and forbid not to speak with tongues.
This was the law. This New Testament. Now it's funny that everybody who usually say something to us, they be like, oh, you're always in the Old Testament. And we go to the New Testament and show them this. How you gonna say you're a New Testament Christian? You don't even do this. I go to church all the time and I ain't never seen a woman hair cover. I ain't never see Juanita bind them up there. Maybe that's why that happened to her. I hate to say that. I don't see Paula White up there covered. I don't see none of these women covered. And people think, oh, that's bondage, brother. Why is it bondage? The Bible says that should be nothing grievous to do the Father. What he tells you to do. There's nothing grievous about that. That's what we're here for. And so I'm starting to notice that now. I'm noticing all these women that I seen back then that had that period of time and they were just pumping. Where they at now? Where they at? They had their period of time. They did. They had their little time. But where they at now? And they all ended on a bad note. Because the Father won't have that. You know why? Because it's law. He said that was law. That's the commandments of the Lord. And let's see what he says about law. Go to Proverbs 28:9.
Proverbs 28. Everybody ready? Proverbs 28 and 9. He that turneth